Hi everybody and welcome to my channel. Right, we'll get a few people in the house. But in this episode I'm going to be doing a live with Marvin Hitchman. I'm not sure how many of you have actually seen his story yet. He's just done a one with Billy Moore not so long back. And he's just got a book out called Born in Prison. And he's going to be joining us very soon. But I just thought I'll kick this off and get it started, because I did see I was coming on at 7:30, but I've been busy with work and I've just finally managed to lock the gym up. Been on the go since 5:30 this morning. But I thought I'll kick it off and get it started, get a few more people in. If you can all hit that like button, people get their algorithm up as well. Charles Manson, good evening. Arise Champion, good evening. Beth Dean, hey. Hope everyone's well. But the ones that I just entered the room now, I'm just waiting on Marvin Hitchman. He's coming on. He's going to join us on a live, because I was supposed to do a podcast with him last night, but I was busy with work again as usual. Couldn't get it done, so I thought I had a live plan for tonight anyway, so I thought kill two birds with one stone. I might as well do a live with Marv, and we can do some questions and answers as well. But his book has been on the top spot on Amazon for the last couple of weeks. Wildlife, how we doing, brother? Yep, hard work pays off. It certainly does. Darren Fowler, Derek Domino, The Mod, Aaron Rawlinson, Bobber. Evening, everybody. Una Greeley, if I said that properly. How we doing, Una? But yes, like I said, I'm just waiting for Marvin to join us, Marvin Hitchman. I've been speaking with, I don't even know if he goes by Lee or Marvin, but we'll see when he comes on, because I know his full title's Marvin Hitchman. But once he comes on, we'll get to know, because he's been messaging backwards and forwards for the last few weeks. We've been trying to get a podcast going, because a lot of his people have been saying we need to get one up and running, get it going. But I have watched his podcast that he done with Billy Moore last Friday, and that was premiered. It was recorded, but he premiered it live, and it was a decent watch. I think it was only on for about 40 odd minutes, but it was a good watch. And he's been through adversity, and he's come out the other side. But I'm glad you all like that other video that I'd done earlier on. It's had, last time I checked on my YouTube studio, it had 4,000 views within 2 hours. I think it was. I put it on 2 hours ago. That was just another way of me doing videos, because I can do them quite quick. I can do them here in my studio and get them uploaded straight away. It doesn't take much effort to do those type of videos. Whereas the other videos where I'm talking about other people, it takes a lot longer to get them edited. But I can see Lee's just about ready. He's getting his camera ready, so we're going to get him in, people.
Yes.
Here we are. How we doing?
Yay, Ricky.
So just before we start, do you go by Lee or Marvin or?
Marvin, brother.
Marv, I thought so when I was watching your podcast with Billy Moore. But your lighting's a bit,
it's a bit dark. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's a bit bright now. That light's behind you, because the camera's pointing to the light.
Yeah, let me get there for you. How are we doing there, Rick? Is that better?
Still a bit dark, mate, with the lighting.
Let me try and get this on.
What happens sometimes if you've got the light behind you, it makes the camera look a bit dark.
Yeah, it's just the way I'm sat. Just one sec.
No worries. We've got quite a few people here waiting to watch this. Because
how's that for you, Rick? Is that okay?
A bit dark there, mate. It's all right when you're closer up.
Let me just figure this out then. Let me figure that out where we're at here.
There, that's not too bad there when you're a bit closer.
Is that okay? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's sound, aye.
Yeah, sound.
So how are you keeping?
I'm well, mate. I'm well, you know, just proud of the book coming out and stuff, Ricky. The book's doing amazing at the minute. I mean, I had a look this morning, woke up, it's at #2 on the Amazon chart, drug issues, you know, up there with Cocky and Essex Boys and all that, you know. So today it's at #4. Today it's at #4. So, you know, I'm shocked myself, mate. You know, it's doing amazing things.
Doing really well.
Yeah, here's the cover of it here, guys. So, born in prison, Lee Marvin Hitchman. Yeah, it's doing amazing. Yeah.
I've got myself a copy, but I've never had the chance to really I'm absolutely busy all the time. But it's only, I think, what's the price on?
Sorry, say that again.
It's $7.99, I think, on Amazon, is it?
$9.99, but you can get it on Kindle as well at $4.99. So if you fancy it, just giving it a little quick read, you can do that as well. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's about prison mostly. I was born in prison, as it says by the title, born in prison. And it's just going into how I survived drug addiction, prison, crime. You know, I've been shot, I've been stabbed, I've been bleeding, kidnapped. I've been told I've gone to go places where I never wanted to go. Do you know what I mean, Ricky? And I've done a lot of things for drugs as well. So, you know, I'm just out here now, clean, many years, clean off the cocaine, crack cocaine, you know, and all that. I'm just trying to share my experiences with other people so they can gain some knowledge and some education of what not to do. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people, and like you, Ricky, you know, you've been around the block, you know things what other people don't know. It's about time now that us, our generation,
isn't it? Like people like us are sharing to try and stop the youngest from doing what we've done. So, how long did you spend in jail altogether?
Wow, how long did I spend in prison? Well, I was a persistent repeat offender, and I was also an ASBO kid as well. So I had an ASBO, I've had an ASBO, and you know, I was banned, so I was banned out the city centre. So I was a repeat offender going in the city centre, getting nicked all the time, you know. I did a lot in my life, Ricky, you know what I mean? Being addicted to crack cocaine was about the hardest thing I ever did, though. And getting off it as well was a very, very hard thing, you know. The triggers are like...
And the crack cocaine.
Say that again, buddy.
Did that come in your later life?
Well, I got addicted to crack as a teenager. I was in a nightclub and I was dancing and I just sold all my ecstasy for the night and stuff, and seen some beautiful girl, and we got talking, and next minute I'm in her house chilling out, just dabbing me whiz, and the next minute she says, "Have you ever tried cocaine?" She didn't tell me it was crack, so I said, "Not really, I tried it now and again." Next minute she brought a crack cocaine pipe in, you know, classic bleeding pipe, and I tried it, I sucked it in, and I fell in love with it, Ricky. You know, it was it was like the love of my life for the many, many years. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like
an escape for you.
Sorry?
Was it like an escape for you?
Well, I used it as an escape. It was my everything, you know. I used it as my blanket to keep me warm at night, my dealing with emotional things. So basically, when you're a user, there's always something lurking in the background what you're not ready to deal with yet. That's what generally goes on, you know. So we're using drugs to try and get away from facing up to one thing or another in our lives, whether it's childhood abuse, whether it's a bad upbringing, you know, you had an unhappy childhood, whether you're dealing with something in what's coming in the future, what you're scared of. It's generally you're using it as like a tool to carry you through. Like, so my thing is like, I think we're living in the Stone Age at the minute with regards to drug laws. I don't think people should be going to prison for stealing drugs and selling drugs and all that. Not that I'm telling free the guys and all that. I'm not talking about that. What I'm saying is that drugs in itself, it's used in medicine, heroin, cocaine, all these different drugs are used in medicine. I don't think that we should be criminalizing people, poor people who are trying to earn a few quid, criminalizing them for trying to make money selling drugs. Not that I'm saying let everyone sell drugs. I'm saying it should be controlled. It should be government controlled. It should be way bigger than street kids selling it. All right, then here's the thing for you. What kids do you see on the street selling alcohol? You don't, do you? They don't sell alcohol in the street because it's legal. Because it's legal. So they don't sell it. So once all them drugs are legal in 100 years' time, when it's all legal and it's all controlled and people can go to the shop and buy a gram of cocaine just like they can buy a bottle of gin, the bottle of gin will kill you stone dead. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying sniff cocaine. I'm saying if you're a responsible adult with another responsible adult, I can't see the point of you not being allowed to do this tiny little chemical, because that's all it is. It's a tiny little substance. What is changing another substance in your brain? You know, some of the drugs don't add anything to your body. They're just opening doorways. The chemicals are already in your body, and it's just being released in different times and different strengths into your brain. So most of the time, the drugs anyway, it's not the drugs what do the damage, it's what people are doing for the drugs because they haven't got the money for the drugs. So I think it should be subsidized. I think rich people who enjoy cocaine should be allowed to buy cocaine. The poor people who enjoy cocaine should be allowed to get it on the cheap. It should be like that, Ricky. You know, it's alcohol. I mean, you can go to the shop, you can go and buy alcohol of someone who's just a news agent, got no experience. You could go in there full of yellow jaundice, half dead, and they will still sell you alcohol. You know, there ain't nothing gonna.
Well, alcohol's the root of all evil, innit? You'll not.
It's the worst thing in the world. Yeah, I mean, I've never told anyone this, but I got addicted to alcohol. Right, I got some really terrible news. Yeah, I was in another country, and the only thing what I could use is alcohol. That was the only thing available to me. And I drank bottle after bottle of alcohol, yeah? And I didn't get high off it. I mean, I've tried every drug on the planet known to man. I've been addicted to most of them. I didn't enjoy alcohol. It was the most ugliest, horriblest, dullest high I have ever took in my life. I mean, most of the people who've taken alcohol have never tried other drugs, so they could never judge other drugs. But what I'm concerned about is people being criminalized and never being able to get a good job, or, you know, feeling that they could never get a good life for themselves if they're a teenager they've got caught selling drugs as a teenager. You know, you've got a criminal record, you don't get trusted and all that. Like, that's all wrong, mate. That shouldn't be happening now. We're in 2023. I mean, most of the countries in the world have got some drug laws or another what are lax over cannabis. I mean, this country, you can get medicinal cannabis now. It's been legal since 2018, but now it's been brushed under the carpet. It's only just coming out now that you can get. You don't need to be going on the street. If you need to use cannabis, if you've used cannabis all your life, you don't have to be going to buy it off the street now. You can go online. There's loads of cannabis clinics what you can just contact, and they will literally give you a license for a medical condition. This is, let me stress, you're not going there just to buy it to bong and go and get high. You're doing it legitimately. The novelty's wore off cannabis for me now. I mean, because I can choose off a menu 100 different strains of cannabis. The novelty of, oh yeah, smoking weed and all that's worn off now, Ricky. The weed is just used for me for pain. I put it in a vape, little 0.2, on a vape, get 5 little goals off it. There's my cannabis. It's perfectly legal. I'm not committing crime for it. Do you know what I mean, Ricky? There's some people who are out there now. There's some people who are out there now committing crime for cannabis, not even knowing that you can buy it £5 a gram online. It's just like, so
when you're on about the alcohol as well, you know what, being in prison, like the alcohol, the amount of people that's in for doing things whilst intoxicated on alcohol.
50%, I'd say.
Well, a lot of these murders are happening. It's all to do with alcohol.
It's all to do with alcohol, isn't it? And I'll tell you what as well, yeah, the thing with alcohol, what is so dangerous with it is because it gives you 10 men syndrome. Like, you just feel violent on it. Do you know what I mean? It's just one of them things where you tend to feel pushy on everyone. Like, if you've got a personality what's quite aggressive in any way, it's going to come out of you when you get drunk. You know what I mean? If you've got a little bit of a, you know, whatever personality you are, because we've got these hundreds of different personalities, whatever which one you tend to be, will just come out on alcohol. Cannabis, I've never known anyone to go on a rampage killing people when they're stoned out their head. It just wouldn't happen. Do you know what I mean? It wouldn't happen, Ricky, yeah. So, and I mean, I know for a fact that people who take cocaine, like them people who do it on the weekend users, Some of them had never ever tried crack cocaine, yeah. But my concern and why I talk now is if 1% of them people take crack, if 1% of them tried crack, we need to be here. People like me, as ex-crackheads, need to be here telling people not to do it. Don't try crack cocaine once. If you try crack cocaine, the chances are you will become addicted, whether you're addicted in a week or a month. It will tick away in your brain, which it did for me. I mean, I went and bought it within hours of, and I couldn't stop it. The first time I tried it, I literally spent 400 quid, then went to my best mate's house. Remember, I'm still a teenager. Crack cocaine was brand spanking new. You couldn't buy it on my estate. The one lad who did sell it turned his phone off at 10 o'clock at night. Can you imagine now someone, a crack dealer turning the phone off at 10 o'clock? Never happened. Crack dealers stay on all night long. That's how new it was to us. You know what I mean? I had to travel to buy crack. I mean, it was brand spanking new. So when I tried it and gave it my best mate, it was one of my life's regrets. And I always talk about it to this day. And I know to this day, the boy still got a problem with it. I've been clean off it years. I know he still has a little struggle with it now and again. And I feel responsible. Do you know what I mean? Because I was the one who gave it him to try. So like, when I tried it, I spent hundreds and hundreds of pounds that day, went to my best mate's house and then spent another hundreds and hundreds of pounds. It's extremely addictive. There's so much cocaine about now. I mean, cocaine is seeped into society. It's not just in society, it's in every pub. Every pub on a Saturday, there's someone sniffing. If you went in with a drug tester on toilet cubicles on a Saturday night, every single one of them would have traces of cocaine on it, right? Anytime you go into the boozer in the toilet, you'll see traces of cocaine on the top. Everyone sniffs because what it is it's a leveler, isn't it? People use it now to level their alcohol because some people can't handle their alcohol. It's a very hard drug to handle.
But Marv, what we'll do is, just so some of the viewers that don't know who you are, obviously we've just jumped into talking about drugs and stuff.
All right, okay,
just let the viewers know, where were you born and where did you grow up?
Okay, so my name's Marvin Hitchman, and I was born in HMP Style, which is a women's prison in Cheshire, up here in Wilmslow in Cheshire, north of England. My mum was a prisoner, drug addict, teenage prisoner, and so was my dad as well. So my mum was a Cockney girl, but she escaped from a prison in London, a women's prison. She was an escapee, and she got moved to HMP Style. I think she was an escapee on a sentence before this one that she was with me though, because when she went to prison pregnant with me, she wasn't in for that long, but she was a repeat offender as well, you know, like going to prison regular and stuff like that. And what happened to my mum is she got told if she gave me up for adoption, I would be given to two doctors. So you can imagine my mum sat there as a drug addict, my dad in another prison as a drug addict. She didn't really want to be my dad because when she signed me away, she didn't put his name on the paperwork. She put another name. So she never intended him to be my dad anyway. So the fella who's turned out I've met to be my dad since then, is still a drug addict and still raging on the pipe and all that. So like I wouldn't have nothing to do with him.
How old was your mum at the time when she had you in styling?
A teenager. She was a teenager. She was like 18, 19, yeah.
So inside the prison then?
I was in there for about 6 months. She was doing, I think it was a 9-month sentence she was doing. I have said 6 months before, but I think it was more 9 months she was doing. And straight away I was on the mother and baby unit, you know, born straight away, mother and baby unit. Then I spent a bit of time with her. And what's weird though is somewhere in my psyche, Ricky, I can still remember last time I was in my mum's arms. If that makes any sense, I don't know if I'm tripping or what, but somewhere in me, and I've always said it since I was a very, very young person, I can remember the last time my mum held me in her arms. So once my mum let me go that last time, I never ever seen her again. I mean, I went searching. I never ever found her again.
Off a little bit, mate. There's nothing interfering with it, is there?
Sorry, no, I don't think so. Let's see. Yeah, is that okay?
Yeah, that's all right. keeps going off a little bit, but it's
Yeah, so once I was given away for adoption, I was never ever found again off my mum. I mean, what happened was I was working with an adoption agency, and she kept telling me there's not always an happy ending at the end of the rainbow. Ricky, if someone's saying that to you and you're looking for your birth family, you're not listening to it, all right? And she
aye.
kept saying, there's not always an happy ending at the end of the rainbow, you know. And I was like, yeah, but sweet, just open my adoption file so I can find my mum. So when she finally opened my adoption file, she went, right, I'll get back to you in a couple of weeks. And she phoned me up and said, I've got some news on your mum. And I'm thinking, yes, I found my mum. My life's going to start now. Like, my real mum's here. You know, I was thinking, yes, I'm buzzing now. I found my mum. Jumped in the office, went in buzzing, me and Kira, so happy. And she just went, yeah, I've got something to give you. And it was my mum's death certificate. And she went, I'm so sorry, I couldn't tell you before, but your mum's dead. Your mum's been dead years. I looked, she's been dead. She died within weeks of my mum dying. So what I did was, I always said to myself, I would never look for my birth mum while my adoptive mum was alive, just out of respect for my adoptive mum, right? Even though she said to me, go and find your birth mum, because she knew I was addicted to drugs from very, very young. I mean, I got caught sniffing butane gas when I was about 10 off my sister. She smacked me around the face. I was about 9 even. Whacked me right round the face. I was hallucinating like that, thinking no one's in the house. Next minute, I felt this smack around my face. So my mum knew I was a trouble baby, a trouble kid all my life. So she said, Marv, you know, go and find who you are. You know what I mean? And I said, nah, Mum, I'm not going to do it out of respect for you. You know what I mean? I don't want to know who they are. But it was ticking in my mind, ticking in the back of my mind. And I used to run away from home a lot when I was a kid looking for my mum. So I knew I wanted to find her, but just out of respect, I didn't do it. And it turned out they died weeks apart.
What age were you, Marv, when you found out your mum, your real mum, was dead? Then
I think I was about 39 or something like that. So I'm 49 now. I know I don't look it. I look in my 30s, lad, but you know. Yeah. But yeah, I found out I was about. So when I found out, Ricky, I was clean. I didn't relapse. But I'll tell you something. There was no reason why I didn't. Right? It plunged me into depression. And everyone around me, what was weird was because I was only experiencing it myself, like, it's my mum. I was never going to see my mum again. It hit me like a brick. And I couldn't understand it myself, you know, because I never knew her. But it's your mum, innit? So
aye,
when I realised she was gone, I went down in myself. I didn't want to speak to anyone. And because I'm a Cancerian anyway, I'm a crab. So I go back into my shell, you know what I mean? My star
aye,
signs are Cancer. So I go into my shell. So I just shelled up, right? And what I did after that is one day, I was just really, really, really frustrated that she was gone. So I phoned up the adoption agency and I said, listen, I'm not accepting that just because my mum's gone. There's nothing else for me here now. You know, you've got to do something else for me. And he went away and had a meeting and she phoned me up and went, you know what it is? You're one of thousands of people who this is going to happen to, but because your mum's dead, we have already done a bit of searching and we know that you have got family alive, other family members. So when they were searching for my mum, they found other family members, yeah, before my mum, right? So then he said, you've got other family members who are alive. We are going to like give you your previous convictions will be sent to them and they're going to decide whether they want to get to know me or not. So luckily for me, all my previous convictions were robberies, burglaries, drug dealing, theft. I've never been a sex offender. I've never beat up women. I've never ever done anything like that. That's not my cup of tea. It's never been my MO. So I knew I had nothing to worry about. But even still, being a criminal really got to me. It really hit me. I thought I was disgusted and embarrassed. I thought I'm a criminal. You know, I've done all my life is commit crime for years and years, years in, years out. I ain't proud of them seeing my previous convictions. I was disgusted in myself, you know what I mean? It really hit home. So that's a warning to people who are just starting to get into crime now is think about where you're going to be in 20 years' time, what sort of life you were going to have had, you know, going in and out of custody. I mean, prison is horrible now. When I was going to prison, you could get carrier bags of drugs and stuff through over the walls. Now it's so hard to do anything. You know, you'd be just locked off. You'd pay £50 for an ounce of tobacco. You know, you've got to pay £25 for a lighter. You know what I mean? You're just living like an animal now. You're in a cage. You never opened up or anything like that. I'd say to anyone now who's thinking of getting into crime or just starting out on the drug scene, you better watch yourself because you've got one scary ride to come. It never stops. I mean, it's like a roller.
The sentences that they're handing out as well, like, is absolutely
Yeah,
crazy.
here's one for you. Here's one for you. Years ago, this boy who I know robbed the bank, shot the security guards. When he was getting chased, I don't know him. What I heard of, right, let me just restart. He was in the news when I was a kid. There was an armed robbery. The guy shot the security guards. On the way down the road, he was shooting people with an AK-47. You know how long they got, Ricky? 20 years. You know, now if you got caught with a gun and you shot it through someone's window, you'd get a 15.
Oh,
15 years, and you do 2/3 of that. So for a gun, they give you a minimum of 5 years in prison for a gun. Don't matter who you are. If you get caught with a gun, you get 5 years in custody, right? Just extreme, exceptional circumstances why you wouldn't get it. Say if they proved that you was being bullied or whatnot. If you get caught with a gun, you're getting 5 year minimum sentence. The bullets in it add extra onto the sentence. Where you're caught with it, whether you was carrying it, whether you let it off, if it's been used in a murder or a shooting, because most guns on the street have been used before. Because what happens, a gun gets used and then it gets sold to another area. Then it gets used again, then it gets buried, moved on, and then they end up all over the country. You know, so the chances are if you're carrying a gun, it's been used in some attempt murder or a shooting, you know, and the chances are that you're going to get accused of doing that if you get caught with it anyway. And I mean, nowadays, CCTV is so good, you will get caught anyway. They just backtrack now. They backtrack the vehicle, what you was in. They backtrack an hour before, what you was doing an hour before. You know, you get caught off your mobile phone. A mobile phone is like having a tracker system in your pocket. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So, you know, it's like if you're committing crime, you've got to leave your phone at home. Don't think you're driving around using a mobile. Because then when you get caught in 6 months' time, the police will just backtrack your phone and you get caught anyway. All them drug deals on your mobile phone now, it's like a memory bank. You could be selling drugs now and getting text messages off people who you're serving up to. In a year's time, if you get caught with that phone, the police will find every single message what you've deleted. Yeah, they'll find every message. So don't be under no illusion that you're getting away with things now because the technology now just gets you caught anyway. You know, cell site and what you are, what you're doing on the phone and who you're phoning, it's all followed through now. They just go through it with a fine tooth comb. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. I would just tell people, warn people, if you're thinking of getting into crime and criminality and the boys who you're hanging around with are sat on the estate and they're going robbing every now and again, you've got to ask yourself, do you want to do prison? Do you want to be in a cell for 23 hours a day doing nothing, no bird, no drugs, no cigs, no.
When you first went to prison?
I went to prison when I was 20, but my first robbery. Yeah, I was arrested. I was arrested for my first ever robbery at 13 years of age, and I got a probation order for robbery when I got 14. And I never stopped after that. I was convicted for thefts and convicted for theft from a workplace. Then when I was 20, I was arrested for robbery ×2 for robbing a couple of heroin dealers. Then I was on the road to prison. Then once you start going to prison once or twice, you're just a repeat offender. Now, luckily for me, I never ended up where you went, which was dispersals. I never got to Cat Bs, mate. Oh, I went to a few Cat Bs, but only locals, you know what I mean? When security moves and stuff. Yeah, I never went to them dispersals and all that. I wouldn't have survived in them, mate, because I was a madman in prison. I was like a lunatic. I was the one who was climbing up the landings and the netting and running for the parcels and cutting them open before the screws got to him and dispersing it on the yard. You know, I was the madman. I was the one who was game to do everything. And in dispersals, I wouldn't get away with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, like, so I was a very lucky man that I never hit all the dispersals. But it got to the point where I got sick of the drugs. I got sick of the crime. I mean, I used to break into people's cars until I lost something out of a car myself. And then I realised, like, wow, you know, things are sentimental and stuff. Do you know what I mean, Ricky? At the time, like, I didn't care if people's sentimental valuables or anything else was in your vehicle. I'd just break into your car. I'd get a shatter stone out of my mouth, blast it out your window, take your valuables, pour them down a back street, leave anything what wasn't valuable, and just take the rest and go and sell it to a drug dealer.
So what was the reason behind all this when you were younger? Was it just the area you grew up, or was it because did you know your circumstances when you were born? When did you find that out? Or
what happened was I got told from very young that I was adopted and I was very special and I was picked. So because I was told I was adopted and picked, I used to go to this berry tree near me, these big massive berries, and pick them. And I'd think, here's all the berries, but where's my tree? Where's my tree? You know, where's the tree to me? I've been picked, you know what I mean? I couldn't understand it, okay? So I used to run away a lot and try and find my mum and stuff. So then I was stealing out of the local shops, chocolate bars and stuff, you know, comfort eating, okay? And then I got one of them told my dad, and then my dad battered me outside the shop, so they didn't really tell him after that. So I could go in and nick chocolate bars, you know what I mean? And then yeah, they didn't tell my dad then, you know, the little local shop, like Chippenham Road, the local lovely little people, they just used to let me go in and take little bits of bars of chocolate and stuff. So, yeah, and then I got into I got into shoplifting then when I was 8, 9, 10 years of age, going into the city centre, which is local to me. It's 5-minute walk down the road, so I'd just go into the major stores like House of Fraser and that lot, and I'd just be breaking it, I'd just be robbing like toys and stuff like that, but I was getting caught as much as I was getting away with it, you know what I mean? And then taxing come in then when I was like 13, 14, everyone was taxing everyone, and it was this new craze they called taxing, so I was just taxing everyone and we was being taxed, and, you know, someone took...
like you grew up in then?
I grew up in central Manchester, so, you know, it's quite rough in central Manchester, you know. So I was hanging around with loads of, like, well-known names from over the years of Manchester's, like, Chronicles of Crime, you know. I don't really want to say names, but major gangsters back then, you know, some of them have been shot dead now themselves. So when I was very young, I was around bad men from a very young age, you know what I mean, who turned into bad men. When I went to prison, there was people in prison who was in for shootings and major drug deals already. I was only a kid myself, you know what I mean? So things was very dark and deep very quickly, you know. So as soon as I'm addicted to crack, I'm doing things what are very, very dangerous. If you can remember, Manchester at the time was called Gunchester. You remember when Manchester was nicknamed Gunchester, don't you? So when Manchester was nicknamed Gunchester, there was a reason, and that was because two armed gangs were killing each other. Okay? There was murder after murder. There was shooting after shooting, and it went on for 15 years. I mean, it's cooled down now.
Was that the Gooch gang?
The Gooch and the Pepperell, yeah, which later moved to Dodderton. You know, they was at war, but the problem with the war there was there was only a road separating the two gangs, like literally one little road. So literally they was shooting at each other coming off the estate, and they were searching for each other, killing each other. It was crazy. And I was trying to earn a few quid because the drug gangs, the shooting gangs used to sell drugs as well. So I was on the back end of all the gang members trying to earn a few quid, you know. Because a few gang members sold crack, so I'd be round them like all the time. You know what I mean? So for once example, a gang member who was a shooter used to go drive around with his friends shooting other people. Seen me on the corner one day and said to me, "Marv, do you want to start selling some crack for me?" So I went, "Yeah, of course I will, mate." Smoked it. Okay. I smoked the supply, and I had no money to pay him. But instead of avoiding him, I just stayed around, and I seen him again, and he went, "Marv, you got any money for me?" I went, "Bro, I've smoked it all, man. I'm just on a mad one." And he went, "What you mean, you can't?" He went, "Eos, I'll give you some more. If you smoke them again, I'm going to shoot you." And I knew in my mind that he would shoot me because I know he was a shooter, yeah. But because of the pull of the crack was more important to me at the time, I just smoked him again. And I thought, I've got to avoid this gang member now because he's going to shoot my ass when he sees me. And what happened was one Saturday after, I'm in the city centre, I see one of my mates who's just copped a load of money, says to me, "Marv, let's go and buy some crack at Moss Side." I go to Moss Side, I get seen off the gang members' mates in the back of a pirate taxi, and I get out to go and speak to him round the back of this club, and he pulls a gun, he pulls a big massive 357 out, and he had these bullets, what I believe wrapped in cling film and stuff. I found out afterwards, I don't know why, but I believe the bullets was wrapped in cling film, and he shot it, and one just went vision somewhere, and then the next one hit me, and I can't remember if I fell to the floor or not, but I've got shot, walked back to the taxi where I was with my mate, and I went, "I've just been shot, you know," and he went, "What? Who the fuck just shot you?" And started screaming like an idiot. "Who just shot him? Fucking shoot me." And I'm going, "Mate, are you fucking for real? Get back in the car." And then he's shouting that, all the guys have come out and they're all stood there all half cut. And they're all gang members, all with guns. And if I'm thinking, I'm going to get fucking murdered now. The pirate taxi driver who's in the car just got opened the door. He pulled the keys out. He didn't. He opened the door and ran off and just left the keys in the ignition. So I could only drive automatics, and my mate could drive. And I went, "Get in the fucking front and drive now." So we got in the car and we drove, and I drove straight past the hospital with a bullet still fucking in me, had lodged in me somewhere at the end of my leg. And went to the hospital. Well, I didn't go to the hospital. Went to town. I went to a nightclub, smoking crack cocaine in the toilet of this nightclub, bleeding out. You know, so every time I'm having a go at a crack, making my heart pump faster. So there's blood coming out of me quicker. I'm not realizing it. And it never hit an artery. If it would have hit a main vein, I would have been dead in 90 seconds. You know, that's how people die off bullets. It hits an artery and you bleed out. You know what I mean? Or it blows up and takes takes a hole out of you this big. You know what I mean? So luckily for me, it never shot an artery and it didn't make me bleed out. I was bleeding heavily. You know, so
did you end up in the hospital then?
yeah, after the smoking crack for about 20 minutes, and then some woman's come in the toilets and started screaming because I took my t-shirt off and thought I could tie it above my knee to try and get rid of the pain and all that shit, you know, thinking I was commando. I mean, tying it at my thigh, thought, yeah, I'll tie my thigh up here, and I just thought, yeah, and I'd watched Commando where he got a fucking red thing and tied it on his arm, you know, after Rocky had been shot, whatever his name is. Stallone, after Stallone shot himself or something, he tied a red thing on his arm like a ribbon. And
something like that, aye.
yeah, so yeah, I'd watched that and I thought, yeah, I'll just tie this my t-shirt on my leg. But what had happened was, because I'd been in and out the toilet, there was blood everywhere, and because they're on a slope slowly, toilets to the drains, aren't they? You know, they build them with a little slope, and the blood's running into the drain, and woman's come down into the toilet and started screaming and went, there's blood everywhere, oh my God. And I looked down and seen blood everywhere, and I thought, shit, I best go to the hospital here. So on the way, I got a bouncer to black out his car for me. Blacked out his car, and on the way, I'm asking him for 20 quid to buy crack. That's how much I cared. Do you know what I mean? I didn't care if I lived or died, really. You know, crazy life, mate.
Crazy.
So
how
yeah,
you out of prison now then since your last release?
I've not been to prison since 2012, bro. So it's a long, long time now.
So you're doing well then.
Yeah. So
Well
I went
done.
to prison about 25 times, maybe, probably 25 times. I ended up in custody.
So did you come to,
Um,
did you have that turning point then in prison, or was it in prison or out of prison when? Because I know obviously a lot
yeah,
of people
yeah.
talk
There's a
about
few
it.
things. Do you know what, Ricky? There's a few things what made me want to change, mate. You know what I mean? I'll say the drugs was getting weaker, and then there was things going on in my personal life. You know, I'm with a girl who's never took crack, and she's a straight member, so she was telling me to get clean, and she's encouraging me. You know what I mean? And I went to NA once, Ricky. I went to NA. I was going to NA quite regular, but it wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. I was just doing it to try and more make people happy than doing it for my own reasons. You know what I mean? So I ended up just smoking. I just didn't do NA. I just wasn't NA one for me. Do you know what I mean? Put it that way. I mean, there's more about it in the book about NA. So
When you want to stop
uh,
something, you want something bad enough, you can just do it without stuff like that, can't you? If you want something bad enough, you just
yeah. Well, I went to a rehab in Preston once, and I walked in, and I got to the evening, and this girl come to my room and went, "I love what you're having." What she went, "What you're having? How many of each?" And I went, "What do you mean?" And she went, "Well, I go and it's my turn to climb the wall tonight to go and score." And I was like, "Whoa, you go and score in a fucking rehab? They're all in a rehab." I said, "So I went to one of the lads and said, 'What you there for then?' And he went, 'I'm here for court order or something like that.'" He said, "Do you know what I mean?" And I just thought, "Oh, nice, this is no good me being here." You know, and I just left. You know what I mean? I just got off. I phoned Karen and she picked me up. Yeah, so they wasn't for me. I just got to the point where, you know, I just had enough of the jail. I'd had enough of the drugs. I wanted something new. Do you know what I mean?
I'm just looking at the comments here, and your Kira saying, you got dragged to Narcotics Anonymous, you mean?
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I got dragged to what Narcotics Anonymous. Yeah, so but I'll be honest with you now, Ricky. I was smoking crack in the toilets, so out of order really, because you can imagine me triggering the trigger what I was giving to people. So I was getting a chance to get away from Kira. Then I was jumping in the toilets and bleeding, smoking crack. So you know, it wasn't for me. Wasn't for me. Yeah.
So it was like we were saying when you were in prison for the last time, did you have a sort of a moment in prison where you thought this is enough?
Well,
I've done me time.
well, yeah, and Spice had just landed, so I tried this Spice, and it was strong. It was that strong to hold on to the walls. Drugs what I took up to that point wasn't as strong as Spice. So when Spice was still legal and it just went absolutely super strong is when I started it. So I used to go to a shop on the outskirts of Manchester because you couldn't buy it in Manchester city centre, and I was a crash test dummy for the Spice maker. So he was making Spice in the back of this shop, sold like frogs and crickets and tropical plants and things in fish tanks and all that, yeah. And he was literally going to me, "Marv, go and test this outside," and giving me a clear bag of Spice to try. And some of it was that strong, it had put me to the floor. And one day, Ricky, here's the turning point of the Spice. You know the guys who go around the Romanians and make the sand figures on the floor? You make dogs and that out of sand. You ever seen them fellas? So they was doing that. I just bought my Spice, yeah? I've just had a big fat joint of Spice. So I'm smashed out my head. And I'm talking to these Romanian guys. And all of a sudden, I've tapped my pockets like that, and my Spice is gone. Push this lad, these two Romanians who I'm talking to, and one of them's on the floor doing the dog. So I pushed them. I went, "Mate, you've just dipped me, haven't you?" You know, because I thought, you know, I was stereotyping people, you know what I mean, which was wrong of me. And I come into my head that they pickpocketed me. And I went, you've just dipped me, you prick. Started fighting with these 3 Romanians, literally, we're trading punches, yeah? Because I thought they'd dip me and rob me, right? And it was a Saturday morning, and they had a big crowd round me, Ricky. And I'm screaming at him, you fucking robbed me, eh? And all these crowd are like, calm down, what's happened? I'm saying, these have just robbed me. And then police have come, yeah, because it's a busy town centre. And they're like, calm down. And the PNC'd me and like, fucking hell, man, what's going on with you? And I'm like, these little fucking pricks have robbed me, man. They've dipped me. And all of a sudden, I pushed my hand to my bum cheeks and realised that they didn't dip me, Ricky. I cheeked my parcel, but I was that twisted off my brain. I didn't realise I cheeked it. But I had to go on with this charade because I couldn't, like, just go, oh, mate, I just realised I've got them here. You know what I mean? So I've had to carry it on. I'm like, you just dipped me, using that I've already used. And the police are like, you fucking to me, put me in handcuffs, went, right, we're arresting you. Just get in a van. And they got me in the van and I'm kicking off saying, what am I arresting for? And they're going, we aren't really arrested you. We're going to drop you off. And they dropped me off. I didn't even tell them that I had the parcel. I didn't have the heart to tell them that I had the parcel cheap. I just carried on like I got home. I got home to Kara and I said, Kara, you won't believe what's just happened to me. And she's like, you dickhead. How fucking stupid are you? Do you know what I mean? And like, so I knew then that the spice, it was sending me off my cake. You know what I mean, Ricky?
But that spice, like you've just mentioned there, it absolutely turns people's head to mush. Some of the lads that take it in the prisons that get addicted to it. And I've seen them when I've looked through the pads, they're just comatose. They're fucking
coma.
Totally out of it, aren't they?
Comatose, mate. I mean, we was giving it.
Can you believe, like you've just said there, that they used to sell this in the shop to kids and stuff?
It was perfectly legal, Ricky. You know what, mate? I got pulled off a police officer one day. I'm wrapping a big joint of it, and this police officer who knows me, he's come up to me. He's gone, "Oh, Marv, what are you doing smoking weed?" I don't mind you smoking weed. It's fine. And I went, "Nah, I'm smoking spice, officer." And he went, "Oh, I've heard about that. I've heard about that." And I'm like, yeah, it's fucking great. And I'm, you know what I mean? No, they couldn't do nothing to you about it, Ricky. You know what I mean? One day, some big tall African who sold umbrellas come up to me. I'm smoking a joint of it. And he's gone, yeah, man, give me some of that. And I went, mate, nah, it's not weed. He went, no, I don't know what it is. I've had it before. And I said to him, don't start taking big drugs of it, mate, because I don't, mate. I was putting 50% spice in with 50% tobacco. So my spice joints was very, very strong. And he's gone like that, dead hard. And next minute, he just went, just fell like a big piece of wood, like, boom, and just smashed his head off the side, off the floor. And he was comatose, Ricky. And this grafter who I know, seen what had gone on, ran over, got straight into thief mode and went like, yeah, mate, I've just give you 20 quid for an umbrella. Give me 20 quid back, trying to graft the man for 20 quid. And I thought, what am I living in? I'm living in a madhouse, mate. I'm smoking this. These people robbing people who are just comatose of it. I've got to get away from this stuff. And I sat off and I got clean off it, yeah. I had loads of packets of it because I was giving it people to test and that. And then I sat back and watched what I'd done. I felt terrible, you know what I mean? I felt absolutely terrible that Ad was the one who was giving it people to try, and people who I knew who used to be on crack, giving it him to try, and they was enjoying it that much, and they turned into street people, and now they're dead, you know what I mean? So near us, near Strangeways, there's this office where drug users go to, like when they've got out of prison and stuff like that, Ricky, right? And they've got a wall in there. And all I can describe it as is a death wall, yeah? Because it's got photographs and names of every town person and every street person and every prisoner who's died in custody. It's got a picture of them on there.
Yeah.
And I walked in there one day, mate, and like I just took, like, so I can still remember my first LSD when I was like 13, 14. And because LSD, for some reason, you never ever forget them trips. And I can remember tripping. And it was like I was tripping again when I was 13, 14. All these faces just started coming out at me like it was real, like it was alive again. And I just seen all these faces and I thought, oh my God, all of the people who I've done in then over the years with that spice, you know what I mean? I thought, oh man, And I felt absolutely terrible. I seen all these people who had died, like street people who are dead, and I thought, nah, mate, I've got to do something about that. And I vowed then, Ricky, that I will share my story anywhere, whether it gives me stress, it gives me anxiety, I get, you know what I mean? People call me for it. I'm going to tell my story. And my story is you can have been to the lowest of the low, but you can turn it around yourself without any tools. You don't need a master. You don't need someone telling you to do it. You have got the keys yourself. Don't you sit there and tell me I can't do it, because I will call you a liar. You can get it clean. You can stop that shit what you're taking right now. All as you do is you put it down and you say, enough is enough. It's as simple as that, mate. Don't be giving me all that palaver that you need this and you can't do it because of that. Because that's all straight members bowing to you. Because you know deep down that, all right, I'll give you the thing. Them drugs, what you take, you probably take it for 3 minutes every hour. What do you do for the other 53 minutes, mate? Hey? If it takes you 6 minutes to get your pipe together and have a few pipes, what you doing for another 53 minutes? It takes you 54 minutes of an hour. You're not smoking crack, so don't tell me you've got to do it, because you haven't. You're not doing it all the time. It's not as if you're continually taking it. Come on now. Get a grip of your life.
A lot of people want to do. They want to get off this sort of stuff, or if they're on drugs,
right,
but they'll only get it when they want to do it. Some people don't want to. It's not until you get to that point in your life where you think, right, enough's enough. Then you get to that point where you think, right, then you cross that line onto the next side.
But I hear that, yeah. But you know what? That enough is enough time. If you look around and it's affecting your life, right? If your marriage is broken down, or your relationships are broken down in the past, or you've had problems over drugs in the past, and your family are disappointed in you, and this person's disappointed in you, and that person, you need to say to yourself, is it worth it? This little tiny chemical I'm taking, all that trouble for that tiny little compound, what is changing them chemicals in my brain? Is it worth all the shit I am putting myself through? Because we only get one life, Ricky, yeah? And when you're young, you don't see that, mate. You think you're going to live forever, but you don't live forever. I mean, I'm lucky to be here telling you my story now. My adopted sister used to tell me, you'll be dead by the time you're 20. She used to tell me that. Dead by the time you're 20. And then she used to tell me, you'll be dead by the time you're 30. And now she's the one dead and I'm here. She died of a drug overdose and I didn't. So don't tell me that you're going to be the one to fall by the wayside, because I should be now on the street begging. I should be the one you see at traffic lights. My speakers have just gone. Can you still hear me, Ricky?
I can still hear you, mate.
Yeah. So my headphones have just gone. So
can you still hear me? All right.
I think, brother. All right.
Can you not, mate? Can you still hear me? All
right.
Part
two, Ricky.
Right. I know, bother. We'll wrap that up there for now. I'll just speak to the subscribers, have a bit of chat with them. Mate. But nice one for coming on, mate.
See you guys. All the best. Have a nice evening.
Right. Cheers for coming on, mate.
Yeah, mate. Bye.
Right, people, I was going to do a little bit of a question and answer with Marvin. And I was going to put the questions to him so he could relate back to you all. But I hope you enjoyed that bit there. Like I've mentioned, I was going to do a podcast with him and put it on separately. But I thought, like I mentioned, I would just kill two birds with one stone, do a live and do a podcast at the same time. But I've got about another 5 minutes left. If there's any questions you want to ask, fire away in the comments section. But see, people like Marvin, he's 48, he said there now, and he's been out of prison for 11 years now. So obviously he was in his 30s, late 30s, when he changed his life around, come out the other side, and he's on helping other people. But it's normally the case when you get into your 30s, and when you're in your 20s, when you're in the teenage years, you don't give a toss about anybody. But when you get into your 20s, you're not really bothered about anything. Nothing phases you if you're in that mindset and you've had a bit of a bad upbringing. But it's not until you get into your 30s, like myself now, I'm 38 now, and this is when you start putting things into perspective and you start turning things around. But only if we had a bit more guidance when we were younger, things might have been different. But that's why we're here now, helping other people and showing people the way not to be and showing people there is a better life after prison. So Paul says, have you ever been addicted to alcohol or drugs? I've never been addicted to alcohol or drugs, but I have abused alcohol and drugs in my younger years. I got IPP when I was 21-year-old, but previous to that, from the age of 10, 11, all the way up till 20, when I went to prison, because I went to prison when I was 20, got the IPP at 21, and I used drink and drugs on a daily basis, but I was never addicted to them. So I used to smoke weed from the age of 11. Then it moved on to taking pills, which was ease, but that was just on a weekend, on a Fridays and Saturdays. But I used to drink nearly every other day or every day, just about. We used to go to school or Skype off school. And then on the night time, we'd drink a bottle of cider. Because at the time, I remember it was £1 for a bottle of cider, a litre of cider. And 1 litre of cider, you'd be mortal drunk. So Derek says, does Marv now smoke weed? He did mention that he smokes it in the vapes as for pain relief, and he says he buys it online. Yes, he's 49. Stevie Boy Billings is saying he's 49, brother, 2 years older than me. Edward Doubtfire, an IPP sentence is a crime in itself. Absolutely. I've done a video on it. When did I release it? I think it was the beginning of this week. And it's had about 10,000 views in a few days, and I've had good feedback because it's just getting it out there, letting people know all about these IPPs, because there's a majority of people don't know anything about them. Charlie Cliff, been a really interesting live. Do you plan on doing more? Yeah, I do plan on doing more. Obviously, I'm getting a bit more active on YouTube. Obviously, with the 6 weeks holidays with the kids, I wasn't on as much. But I'm going to try and get a live on at least once a week, and I will be uploading videos every 2 to 3 days. But if you're enjoying the lives with other people as well, I'll try and get more people on them as well. Obviously, just people that's got a story to share, get them on the live, and we can all do a question and answer and do a get inside the life story and have a good listen to them. The Fitness Hutch, nice one, mate. Says he's still following us. The Fitness Hutch is an ex-prison officer who I've done a podcast with. I've done a live with him. Maybe he's a couple of months back now, I think. But if you want to go over and check out his content, he does all about mental health, physical and mental fitness. Him and his wife do talks on the couch about mental health. Really interesting watch. But if you haven't seen the live that I've done with him, go click on the live section on here. Go back and have a look at it. It was a good, interesting podcast that we've done. IPP is against the Geneva Convention. Well, the IPPs, I just shared something today on my Discord group through my Patreon channel about the IPPs, and it's actually the leader of the UN, the United Nations, has called for something to be done. He's called upon the UK government, the English government, to do something about the IPPs because it's been branded inhumane and it's torture, which it actually is. Right, people, I'm doing about another minute or so. Any more questions? I'm going to wrap it up because I've been on the go since 5:30 this morning, and I'm not even home yet, so I need to get home, see me lovely wife and kids. Before I'm asleep, I normally go to bed about 10 o'clock on night. I'm up at 5:30 in the morning for work. But yeah, like I say, YouTube's become a job as well at the minute. So I've also, if I'm not in the gym working, I'm at home doing my YouTube. And if I'm not at home, if I'm not doing my YouTube, I'm looking after the kids. So I'm non-stop all the time, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Absolutely love it. But also, I always think about prison and think about my time in prison and remember about the hard times. Remember the times that I was in there. you always got to remember, for people out here that have been to prison, a lot of the time they forget all about it. They forget about the sleepless nights. They forget about missing the family. They forget about the hard times, and they go back to doing the exact same thing. But always remember the dark places that you've been to and how far you've come in life, and it'll stop you from going back. Right, I'm going to wrap it up there now, people. Thank you very much for watching. We've just done about an hour there on the live. So until the next time, people, take care, enjoy the rest of your evening, and have a good weekend.